Now in May, Google published official documentation titled Optimizing Your Website for Generative AI Features on this Google Search Central blog under a brand new Generative AI Fundamentals navigation section. So this documentation largely stated that good GEO is just good SEO and largely focused on the importance of, again, non-commodity content and clear technical structure. They also included a section around myth busting where they denounced tactics such as llms.txt as well as chunking. Now, Mike, I know you're a large believer of chunking. There's a whole thing on it in your search manual. And I know that you don't always think Google is truthful in their advice. So what's your unfiltered take here?
So I wrote a blog post about this, and I think it was titled something to the effect of Google's guidance is naive and self-serving, because that's exactly what it is. Like, sure, these are this is guidance for the Google environment, which I don't think is accurate either, but it's really them trying to regain control over the fact that we are moving from a Google-shaped web to an agent-shaped web, meaning that the last 25 years, people have built websites in alignment with the best practices for what works for Google. But now that there are a multitude of players that are treating the web in a different way, we are all moving in this direction of like creating websites that work well within these agents. And so when you say something like llms.txt doesn't matter, that's not true. It's not true because everyone is using Claude now and Claude uses it. Mm-hmm. And in fact, if you look in the agentic guide in another section of Google, they say you should have an llms.txt.
You're spoiling what's coming up. We've got
So, and then on chunking, first, let's like add a definition of what chunking is. So there's really two definitions of chunking. One is what the actual systems do when they decompose your page and look to understand it. They break it into a series of what are called chunks. That terminology comes from information retrieval around retrieval augmented generation. And so they're breaking down your page into a series of chunks, and then they're measuring those chunks against those synthetic queries in the query fan out. And then they're saying, okay, this is relevant, feed it to the language model. Now, when we talk about chunking from a marketing perspective, it's really about like, how do you structure your content in such a way that it works in that environment? Meaning that you're using headings, you're having paragraphs that are about one thing rather than 2 to 3 things or whatever, because it's easier for it to perform in those environments. But it's also easier for a user to consume when you do it that way. So Google says like, oh, you don't have to do that. Like, don't break your pages into like these, microscopic chunks. But if you read their research about what they actually do, everything points to these atomic units of content that speak about one thing. And so I've written 2 different blog posts about this. One refuting what was said around not needing chunking, like going through all the research, pointing out why it's valuable. And then I wrote the thing about the guidance, which really just like shows how Google is trying to, maintain this control while all these other companies are saying the opposite thing.
Mm. I'm just curious, like, what's their goal and like, why would they give that advice to not chunk and not use LLM? Like, how does that serve them?
Because it changes the surface of the web if everybody is doing the thing that it's harder for them to discern like, okay, is this good content versus bad content if everyone is doing the same thing? Okay. So it's kind of like, Google will tell you to do a thing when it works for them. Like they told everyone, hey, switch your site to the secure protocol and we'll give you a rankings boost. So then everyone did it, and you didn't get a rankings boost because everyone did it, but it made things better for Google. It made it better for them because like user clicks through and they have a secure site that they go to. Same thing with Core Web Vitals. They said like, hey, everybody make your site faster and we'll give you a rankings boost. No one got a rankings boost, but everybody made their site faster. And that made Google's costs go down for crawling. It made the user experience better as well. So same thing is true of like structured data. Hey, give us all the structured data. We can understand your pages better. We can rank you better. Everyone did it. Nobody really got value out of it because everyone did it, but Google got a stronger signal to make their search engine better. So it's the same sort of thing. Like, they are guiding us in the way that works for them, not necessarily what works for us.